Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. On today's show, it's a bit of a detour, retour, tour thing we did in Denver. We're going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, but we know you guys all like it every now and then when we get off the lighting beaten path, Greg.
Yeah, we definitely got off for a while on this one, but It was interesting.
So we dropped into Ampere Electric, and the owner's name is Eric Myklebust, and he is sort of, I don't know, he's kind of like a tinkerer. I don't want to say it the wrong way. He's an end of days tinkerer. So he's a big believer in DC power for reasons other than money largely. So he believes that DC power is the future to save us from the end of days. So folks, we're going to leave the rest for the show. But for right now, Greg, guess what I got to say?
I could guess, but why don't you say it?
This episode of the End of Days podcast is brought to you by Keystone Technologies. Go to KEYSTONETECH.com, baby. That's KeystoneTech.com.
So, on the topic of end of days, if you have a sign that has anything other than LED, you're wrong. It's the end of days for that sign. It needs to go LED.
End of days.
Keystone, we know, has a sign hero. We said that enough. That's a tube that replaces a fluorescent tube.
Yeah, if you don't get it, that's your problem now, right? Sign hero.
Now they have a new one.
What's that?
If you can see this thing, it's a sign-based station. So if you have a large, and it might be shown here on screen, if you have a large illuminated sign cabinet that might have metal halides, sometimes they do, or whatever else technology might be in there.
Put that back
they actually
up there,
have a
Scotty.
base
There we go. Yeah.
Station. You got to see that thing. You put that in the sign, and there's even a diagram if you get into the cut sheet kind of showing you could do multiple in the sign, and then you screw in this basically a cob light in the sign station, and it illuminates the sign. Awesome idea. Unique, innovative. End of days for anything other than LED in a sign.
It is. It's the end of days, folks. All around. So go to KeystoneTech.com. The sign base station. I even love the name, Josh. Come on, buddy. What are you thinking? Sign base station. An innovative solution for large illuminated sign cabinets. Here you go. Go to KEYSTONETECH.com, Greg. KeystoneTech.com. For right now, we're talking end of days. For real. So, Greg, we're here in Denver at Ampere with Eric Myklebust, who is the owner.
Yes.
And you're here with the Get a Grip on Lighting guys. How you doing today?
Doing great.
I thought when I landed in Denver this morning that I had landed in the North Pole, man.
Yeah, well, that's what you get in Colorado.
Why do you get that?
Well, most people, I think the phrase actually started in Colorado, but it's been adopted in other places where if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes and it'll change. This is extremely early amounts of giant snow before Halloween. Typically, Halloween would be our first snow. But we've gotten some pretty early stuff this year, which is not so typical, but that's what, it's Colorado, man.
Changed about 30 degrees since we've been here for the good.
Yeah, so you know what you should do? Grab this with one hand and take that and crank it right in front of your mouth. There we are. Not that quite. Yeah, there, right there. Right there? Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Cooking with grease. Okay. So, you guys are one of these different type of lighting peeps.
Yeah.
I look around here. I see a bunch of different things. You're talking about DC. You're talking about solar power. Tell us exactly what you guys are up to.
First, are you from Canada by
chance?
Yeah, okay,
for sure.
My name's Sarah.
Representing.
You're talking boats, and I guess that means about. So I'll just go with that.
This guy's trouble, eh? He's gonna get his ass kicked.
Yeah, you see, it says "us." I love it. I think it's great. I got a lot of Canadian friends, man, for real. Like at least 3.
If you ask me if I know them, you're dead.
Talking about the DC, we're actually the first company in the world to put together renewable power without inverters that go directly to the devices, which is every device in the world can be powered locally with just DC power now. And I know that there's a lot of companies trying to do that, and it's been fun listening to different conversations that I go to where, especially with government, that they're trying to figure out what are we going to do about climate and changing all this? And
Do you believe in the end of days?
You'd have to define the end of days.
Climate change. Climate change is the end of days.
Okay.
No, listen to me. I'm like, people talk about it. Like,
Oh,
if you actually listen to what the
I
scientists say.
Yeah. No. I consider myself a scientist. That's what
Okay,
I've been doing.
So whenever I hear about global warming and climate change, it's the end of days.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Do you believe in the end of days or not?
I believe.
Because that's the problem, is that it's projected as the end of days,
Yeah.
but nobody really believes it's going to be the end of days.
I think a lot of people believe it's going to be the end of days.
Do you?
I believe if we don't change some things, it's very possible. But I don't believe that it's quite as doomful or, it's may not.
How can the end of days not be doomful?
Well,
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
This
right.
is the cognitive dissonance that is the problem with the whole climate change argument.
Absolutely.
Is no one will give me a straight-faced answer
I will.
whether or not they believe in the end of days or not.
That's because the end of days is a hard. I haven't studied that particular term, and if you're
I'm changing the name of it.
Yeah, and so
I'm
if you're saying
no, you're saying I believe in climate change, but I don't think it's doomsday. Then you don't understand what the scientists are actually talking about.
I do. Okay, yes.
So it's the end of days.
I do. Yes, I
New
do
York
believe
is flooded. It's gone.
See,
Manhattan Island is underwater.
I don't-
Toronto is underwater. The Greenland ice sheet is melted.
I believe that's probably
Greenland
pretty
is
far,
rising out of
Yeah.
the ocean because it was under pressure for so long from an ice sheet.
right?
There's no ice in the Arctic Ocean in 50 years.
Yeah.
Do you believe in the end of days or not?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I believe
because that's what I want to know. I always ask everybody that.
I
before we start.
100% believe that is.
I'm not
possible.
sure.
I do believe that. Well, and that's because I've never been an extremist. I do not want to be. I don't want to be pegged or nailed down as part of any extremist group. I don't want to side with necessarily global warming. What I do want to side with is reports that I've read over the last 5 and 6 years that are done by 90 plus scientists from around the world that really have no reason to be.
Sure, they have reason.
Well, these scientists don't have a reason to get together and formulate or concoct.
You know what scientists love to do is sit down and argue with each other.
Yeah,
That never happens, bro.
well, if they
It
don't,
never happens.
I would.
Scientists always come out of a dark room with a consensus.
Yeah, that's because they use a scientific method.
I don't buy that.
That's what I
Here's
do.
what I would say. I'm not sure whether the end of days is coming or not.
Right, but if
Okay?
it is, do you want to do something about it?
No,
You don't. You want it
No.
to happen?
no, it's not that. It's
Well-
that every culture in the world has a Chicken Little story, right? So you know what happens with Chicken Little, right?
Of course.
Well,
We all saw the cartoon.
Well, it's like, a rock falls on him and then he turns to Goosey Lucy.
Yeah.
And he says, the sky is falling, Goosey Lucy. And Goosey Lucy says, the sky is falling? Really? And then Goosey Lucy and Chicken Little run to Turkey Lurkey.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, Turkey Lurkey, guess what? The sky is falling. And
That's
Turkey
based
Lurkey
on
says,
based on one guy's opinion and a bunch of idiots
Yeah.
following.
yeah. And then they run up to Foxy Loxy.
So you're calling all the scientists in the world idiots?
I'm not. I want them
their
to come
data,
out.
That their
I
data
want
is
them- they're-
not correct?
Yes. I know.
You're saying
First
their
of all, what
data
I'm
is not
saying
correct.
is that they don't know how to predict the future.
No, they don't.
Right.
But
So that's the first thing I want them to
Here's
come
what
out
we
and say.
can predict.
They
is,
can't predict shit.
I can.
What's
I
that?
will. And I
Okay,
can
predict.
promise you for right now that when two organizations such as, and these are facts, I won't, if it's my opinion, I will tell you it's my
Okay.
opinion. If it's a fact, I will tell you it's a fact.
Okay.
This is a fact. The NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association,
Sure.
got together with the American Cancer Society,
Mhm.
which, okay, I'm not, you can make a lot of assumptions just there. I understand that. However, why these people got together was to study the air globally, just the air.
Mhm.
And the burning of fossil fuels it's very factual that when you burn fossil fuels and coal, it puts particulate matter, which is very, very microscopic, small pieces of very heavy metals, such as mercury and things that aren't good for us or on the planet as far as anything that has to do with life.
Sure.
And if those things are in the air, which they are because we're burning the fossil fuels, then we are breathing them, correct? So
that's a fact.
Yeah, that's a fact. And
So if you burn smoke, you inhale smoke. That's a fact.
Hey, I think we're getting somewhere for sure.
Okay.
And so that particulate matter builds up inside of you because your body's trying to
that's not the end of days.
No. Let me get there.
Okay.
And that's why I'm so wishy-washy on that term end of days, okay? Because global warming, this is still to me a debatable topic, global warming. However, particulate matter is not debatable.
Yeah, but that's not the end of days.
It is if we're all dying of cancer.
No,
yes,
we're not. We're healthier than we've ever been. That's not. That's a fact.
That's a fact. Why are we healthier than we've ever been?
We live
if our
longer.
Hospitals are completely overrun
That's
with
because
cancer.
we're not going to get involved in the U.S. healthcare system.
I don't
I'm
want
a Canadian.
to. Yeah, I don't.
Okay, but we're here to talk. We're here to talk about this thing. But you got me stuck on the end of days. Nobody gets past the gate with me with that shit. I'll tell you this.
I think you have to let me finish out though.
No, hang on. You said a fact. So there's if you burn smoke, you inhale smoke. I get that.
Okay.
What's the next
So
fact?
when you're inhaling that smoke and they're the heavy metals, over time your body's trying to get rid of those, and cancer is caused by your cells having
nobody knows what cancer is caused by.
Well, certain types of cancer.
Sure, you smoke, you get lung cancer.
Cancer is whatever you want to call it.
Okay, we got to bring it back. We got to bring it back.
So,
we got to bring it back.
I'm trying.
Yep. Keep going. Finish it off.
So when these things build up and your cells get foreign matter inside of them, they don't know what to do with it. They put it aside, and if it's too much and they can't figure it out, start screwing up all of the organelles inside that make up the cell. They start screwing up and then screwing up the other cells around them, and you've got cancer. And so it is a proven fact that inhaling these particulate matters in the air causes cancer, because as your body's trying to get rid of them, they're collecting down in, if you pour a bunch of water somewhere, well, it's going to find a drain if it can.
You know what? You know what else is a proven fact? If you live, you're going to die.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't want to, but
right? I mean, you're going to die.
Absolutely.
Everybody gets something when then they die.
You want
That's
everybody.
how it works.
So yeah,
here's the
what's
point.
your quality of life before you die?
Here's the point.
I'm not quite finished. I'm not quite finished. So when these particulate matter, when that collects together, it's going to collect mostly around the drain where your body is trying to get rid of that. And that's in your bladder mostly.
Okay.
And so the American Cancer Society and NOAA, after finishing this comprehensive report, globally certified our air as carcinogenic. So if you're breathing, you are basically breathing carcinogens.
Where, in Denver?
In everywhere, the whole globe, because you can't stop that particulate matter from getting up into the atmosphere and the jet stream and getting pulled around the planet.
Guess what? The air doesn't know that there's a line between Canada and the United States. Did you know that? No. So the water and the air flows back and forth across the line, whether it's made in China air,
absolutely,
or made in America air. The air doesn't care. It just goes across the border. Same with the water.
Agreed.
You know, they don't know that there's a line there.
And so let's talk about the water then really fast. When I was young, I thought
I knew everything.
I did. And now I know even more than everything. In fact, the only thing I know is that I don't know. And so, but on water, when I was younger, I remember we had real TV and I had to watch commercials and things because that was the way things were done. And I started seeing commercials for buying water in a bottle. This is ridiculous. I was laughing. Who the hell would decide, I think I'm going to buy water instead of get it out of my tap. That's completely ludicrous to me. So laughing. Now everybody is buying water because we absolutely know that most of our water is being contaminated by these particulate matter when they settle down. They're getting into the water. And so we're having a hard time with, hey, how do we get this out? And is it in our tap water and all these things? And is reverse osmosis even getting those things out? And, our best ways of doing that. So now we're all conditioned to buying water, which I think is crazy. We should be drinking water, especially in Colorado. Holy Moses. I mean, all this snow that you see looks like
from
the North
Canada,
Pole.
man.
Well,
Canada has more fresh water than the rest of the world.
Yeah,
except
and
for
it's
Russia.
And it's polluted with
it's
that
not.
particulate matter just the same as the rest of it. Whether it's
End of
small or
days.
big. So end of days to me, it just means that down the road, I don't want to be laughing at the TV or whatever media we have when they're saying it's time to buy these devices for your house, your car, or if you're outside to breathe.
So what
Because the air has so much of this in it now that if you would like to not have health issues, then you need to buy these devices so that you can get rid of those things before you breathe the air. And that makes it's a logical progression from, okay, well.
But the air is cleaner now in LA than it was 30 or 40 years ago.
It's because of the measures they've taken to try to reduce their emissions. Well, not fast enough. And especially when we've got people withdrawing from things that we're trying to do within the world to, hey, even if it's not true, what can it hurt?
Less pollution is good.
Yeah, absolutely. This guy brings everything down to a level that I just can't even understand.
Less pollution is good.
Yeah,
okay,
wow.
But here's the thing. Can you live in Calgary without oil? That's a question. Can you live in northern Quebec without fossil fuels?
Yes.
That's a real question, dude. That might not be possible.
No, it's possible. I can prove it.
I don't know. We're gonna find out in a minute. But what I'm gonna say is like you're talking about a massive conversion to the entire Western economy, followed by a conversion of the developed economies convert, and then the developing economies follow, and we pay for their development because it's all our fault anyway.
No,
right?
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, that has to be because they can't afford to stop the pollution because the air and the water don't know no borders.
Yeah, correct.
And the orcas, they swim from Canada to the United States and they don't have their passports.
Yeah.
And U.S. Customs don't stop them.
I know. And so
they eat that mercury in those little fish. And then next thing you know, they're covered in biotoxins. And it's like, I don't know, man. I'm not sure. First of all, I would say this. Less pollution is good.
Yep. We can get to zero pollution. And we can...
You're going to stop pooing?
No, but
that's pollution in a way, right? Because you've got to deal with.
Yes,
think about 30 million people live in Shanghai.
That can be dealt with. That's pollution that can be dealt with that we don't put into the air that I'm not breathing.
Yeah, but it goes in the water, man.
Well,
I guarantee you, raw sewage is dumped right into the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, absolutely, of course.
Raw,
sure. I'm with you, man. So less raw sewage in the ocean is good. Right? Okay.
But I mean, like the problems are enormous, man. So you're dialing back. Here you are at Ampere, and you're dialing them back to what people can do right now to solve all these super complicated issues we were just talking about as individuals.
Absolutely. That's why. So we don't have to depend on the government. We don't have to depend on anything. We, the people, okay, and this is individual for any of us. We have the power now with what Ampere has made me, I guess. I get tired of the term tinkerer because I've been in business for over 18 years, but call me a tinkerer, call me whatever you like. The fact is that I have developed a system that now is truly, excuse me, 100% powered by renewable power. It does not hit the grid at all. It stores as much power as you even want. So as much power as you want, which is unlimited. So this sounds crazy. Free, unlimited amounts of energy. That's
Okay, so you're going to win the Nobel Prize for physics.
I hope so.
So how does it work?
Anybody listening, if I could
Sign 'em up.
dream.
So we had to come see Eric because, like, I got to interview the guy that's talking about this.
Yeah,
'cause
well, and
this is Nobel Prize worthy.
do you know how
stuff, Eric.
stupid? Do you know how stupid I would feel if I didn't know what I was talking
So
about?
you can
If I
store
didn't-
power without a battery, or you have a battery in this thing?
No, you have batteries. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's your storage, correct.
Okay.
But you don't have an inverter. And so what an inverter does, and we're calling our renewable energies inefficient. That's it is the exact opposite.
Sure. I agree with that.
That's way more the proof that I can present, and I'm sure that I'll be called out on that, which I want to be. I am challenging the whole
So
world
you're saying we
right
should switch
now.
everything to DC?
Correct. And power locally. So what does this do for us if we did that? Well, for one, let's just talk about end of days and our 100-year-old grid system that is sending AC to everyone because they say DC is an inefficient type of power.
Well, DC can't travel over long power lines.
I love it.
That's the argument, is it not?
can
I don't
do it.
know. I'm just
I know,
telling you.
and
Is
that's
that accurate?
That's
it,
the
it is
argument.
that
Yeah.
is accurate when
Okay.
you're trying to power a city. Absolutely. And even if you're trying to power a home,
DC has to be used locally.
DC should be used locally. However, it can be used, the microgrids and things, but that again, right now, those microgrids are feeding into the AC system so that the utility companies don't have to pay for a bunch of energy, which I find the duping of society so easy these days. It's really funny.
How many times is Chicken Little going to come up in this scenario with Goosey Lucy,
Hey, so
Ducky
listen,
Lucky, and Turkey Lurkey?
So you tell
They're
me-
everywhere.
let me ask you a question. If do you guys have any solar on your houses?
I didn't.
So I live on. I used to live on a farm until 2 months ago,
Okay,
and I was like,
that's
so
what's going on.
I was so close
I get
to
it. I get it.
putting solar panels and a windmill up.
Mhm.
Couldn't get the permit for the windmill. I actually have a really good wind source. I put this wind calculator thing on my roof, and it measured like that. I actually do, because I live in a kind of a corridor where the wind kind of blows constantly. So
Mhm.
there actually is a decent wind source for, not for grid level power, but for home level power. There's a good
Yeah.
wind source. And then if I combine that with maybe a kilowatt or two of solar and a shed full of lead acid batteries, I could probably
Shed
go.
full.
Yeah, like a shed full.
Uh-huh.
Like how they tie them all together, right? Like just car batteries.
Yeah, you don't. Well, not car batteries, but I understand what you're saying.
No, I mean
And-
they're lead acid batteries that they
and the
use.
shed full is because you have an inverter, and that's the problem.
Well,
So-
no, because every device I own runs on AC,
no, it doesn't.
except for this one.
If it
So-
has a circuit board in it, it runs on
Right.
DC.
So I'm going to run. So am I going to be able to get the right? If I plug this into that DC thing you have over there without the what do you call it? The voltage transformer there.
Transformer, right?
It's going to work fine.
If the proper voltage and
Yeah.
amperage is
see,
set there,
It's the same thing as you have the same problem as
that's
overcoming.
not a problem for me.
Okay, but it's a problem for everybody else.
I know.
In that we have to overcome two problems. One, we have to overcome an infrastructure where the electrical infrastructure and everything that's built is based on AC, including electrical panels, electrical connections. And
Right, but they can
all
be
the-
bypassed easily.
If you're generating electricity locally,
Yes,
right? But if you want to go grid scale, you're gonna have a problem with that. You have to go back to AC.
is that we don't need to. That's the thing, because I look at just all of the people, even in my own neighborhood, that have 30 to 40 solar panels on top of their roofs, and when that power, so everybody's kind of angry because they say we've spent $30,000 to $40,000 on this system, and when the grid goes down, I'm told that we get power generation from all of these solar panels. But when the grid goes down, why don't my lights or my TV, why doesn't anything work? And that's a good question. The answer to that is because all of the power that's being generated by that solar array is being dumped into the AC grid, and that's through an inverter. So how do inverters work? Inverters are the most inefficient devices we could ever have.
Yeah, it's like converting gas to diesel. It's like you have gas
worse.
or whatever. It's like
it's
yes, I
far
get it.
worse. And so,
But you can't solve that problem.
I already did.
Come on, man.
That's what I'm
Well,
telling you, man. I'm gonna show it to you. It doesn't matter. We've already made videos. In fact, I got a Kickstarter going out on Monday that we've already made all the videos and everything. And I want the whole world to understand that we have done away with the AC grid. I have done away with the need for the AC grid altogether. And we have all the proof in the world. You're sitting in it right now. These lights that you're under, these lights out here, we have multiple devices. I have hair dryers.
Can I warm up my tea in that microwave on DC?
Okay, so that, yes, you could, but that's not a DC microwave.
But you can generate
AC.
enough power to run that fridge in that microwave over there?
Easily. So
No, but those ones aren't.
they are not, because I just haven't had the time to get those in.
Oh, man. See, if you had that, man, you would have to deal with
okay,
me.
so I don't know what I can say on here, but did you watch my show on the Discovery Channel?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so I was contacted by a producer from the DIY channel, and they had me on a show called Building Alaska, where I flew up there and did a guy's cabin who was going off grid, and I showed them. It was a short piece that was really basic, but the concept, I just wanted to prove the concept. And so we got him a 24-volt refrigerator, 24-volt lights, and we
24-volt DC refrigerator.
Correct.
How
Yes.
many amps did it run on?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I didn't look at the
Is there like circuit
specifications.
breakers and fire protection and all that sort of stuff? With this thing?
That was up to him later. But the
See,
the
there's such
mission
a
of the show.
massive infrastructure based on AC.
I know,
It's
and that's
massive, dude.
so, and that's
It's actually
so-
worse than gasoline,
Oh, I know. It's so the biggest
or
it's
better,
The
whatever
biggest
way
problem.
position you have on.
Here's the
It's
biggest
more
problem.
entrenched.
Here's what we really need to fix. Okay, so forget about pollution for a minute. Like, let's say that's not an issue.
Okay.
Let's just say, hey, scientists are idiots. We
I never
don't-
said that.
No, I'm saying it. I'm
Okay.
saying we're just going to have this hypothetical situation where the scientists have been proven to be absolute idiots. They had an agenda. They didn't work. So
All I'm
we-
saying is that they might not be able to predict the future.
okay, and
That's my point.
and that's fine.
That's different than saying they're idiots.
hypothetically.
That's
I'm
like
running
saying
with
they're
that.
economists.
Yeah. So
Because
I'm-
economists have the same problem.
yeah, and I'm running with that.
Okay,
I'm
good. Run with
saying
that.
I'm saying that's correct. And so here we've got, let's just talk about summertime now.
Sure.
In pretty much anywhere, but in California, we always hear about gigantic brownouts and these huge grid pieces going down because of too many people trying to get too much AC power, and it cannot be produced. Is our population getting smaller by exponential amounts?
I'm not sure that the problem is with the production of power, or if the problem in California has more to do with the timing of the consumption, or with just bad management and corruption. I'm not sure which problem
And
it is.
I can go there too. However, if we're having issues with supplying the people that are already here with enough power, population growth is not a linear growth. It's more like a circle, like a circumference. And when you extend that diameter, you are extending the circle out exponentially. And so our population, if we don't have enough power to supply to who we have now, how in the hell will we ever have enough power to start feeding the amounts of people that every time there's another birth cycle, whatever you want to call it, there's people having babies every day, all day, and these people are growing up and they need power. And so how are we going to deal with the amount of people we're going to have in our own country? I mean,
Well,
just
got to remember, place of the United States in 1930 didn't have any electricity.
I know.
So we're going to do it the same way we did it then.
What was that?
Build the infrastructure.
No.
Build the power plants.
What about all the infrastructure that's bad? What about the 100-year-old infrastructure
I think it's easier
that
to
we
do
need
that.
to replace right now? That the government is saying,
Agreed.
hey,
But you're saying
32,
it's
we're
easier to do
going
that.
to dedicate
What's the
$32
alternative?
billion. The
What's the
alternative
alternative?
is to abandon the motherfucker right now. Right now. I'm not kidding.
That's okay.
Beep it out, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that because I'm passionate about this because I
Sure.
know it's true.
Sure.
We don't have to do anything with it. We can start the largest economic boom that this planet has ever seen. We can start the largest movement towards change that we have ever seen. I was saying that, I look at the houses and they have 30 to 40 panels on it. This whole place that you're looking at I'm only running 6 panels on top of here because I've fed it directly into my system that takes the DC and turns it into nothing. It stays DC. Holy God. It stays
Sure.
DC.
Sure.
And so one of the things that people
For those that aren't listening, that little block that you plug into the wall,
that's
when you plug your phone in, that's to convert AC to DC. The little square box on your computer charger, that's to convert AC to DC. And what the argument here is that if we just converted all of our homes to DC, that we would use a lot less materials, a lot less transformers. And if we generated the electricity locally, we would be able to power our homes more efficiently. Is that correct?
Yes, but it goes far beyond that. Not only just power our homes more efficiently, you're not going to pay for the power because you're generating it for yourself.
Well, you're going to pay for the capital cost of buying the equipment.
That's fine. And that's a one-time fee.
Well, no, that's also going to depreciate over time and require maintenance and have to be replaced.
Yeah, okay. So the solar panels, and that's what I was, getting to was they have 30 to 40 panels. My estimations on these things, and so this is an opinion, not really a fact.
Sure.
I'm saying one house can power, I would guess, at least 3 to 4 houses with just those 30 panels that they have.
Here I'm going to pop over with a couple questions.
Okay.
Well, all of the economic development in the West has been based on specialization. So what that means is that the larger the area one company can serve, or the whatever that one company can do, the more efficient it becomes. So you have electric utilities that cover all of Toronto and generate the power, right? Or you have, Seattle, Light and Energy, which does the street lights and the power for safety and energy and all sort of stuff, right? So our trajectory has always been to centralize a specific utility, water supply or whatever, and then distribute it equally to everybody sort of as a human right they pay for, in a sense.
Right.
Like everyone has the right to clean water. Everyone has the right
Do they?
Not in Flint, Michigan.
There's a lot of people
Okay.
that may have that right.
Well,
but
maybe they should forget about mixed bathrooms and start thinking about clean water. That'd be like a good start in the United States.
Absolutely.
But what I'm saying to you is that I don't think it's more efficient for us to, as a society, to start pushing back down to the homeowner level the idea of sewage management.
No, hang on. I'm not talking about
power
that,
production.
Power production only.
Yeah, but then also like these things are things that are we pay your property taxes.
We still
for.
pay property taxes on everything that we would need to pay property taxes for. I'm not part of a militia out here saying I want to separate from the United States.
Yeah.
I'm saying we just don't need to have utility companies that send the AC across power lines. And as a tangent,
I'm not sure you're right about that. That's an opinion, and I would say I disagree with that opinion.
That's not an opinion.
You think that we don't need utility companies?
Yeah.
I would say that you're speculating that it's possible that in the future we won't. That's what you're saying.
Agreed.
Right now you need utility companies.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. I agree with that statement.
Right. So
yes.
that's an opinion that we don't need them.
For right now,
Right.
Of course.
But you can see a projected future where we wouldn't possibly.
Yeah, and so
Okay, that's fair.
So some more of these, one of the dire reports that I read that was the most comprehensive, that was extremely extensive, and I looked at who the scientists were, and if there seemed to be any mission that could be false about this, and they're basically saying this is worse than we thought. It's
What is
obvious
worse?
the amount of pollution that
Okay.
we have is worse than we had imagined. And they literally, to quote them, they said, if we don't turn this around on a dime immediately, then we will have big issues by the year 2030.
The end of days. Just say it, man.
That's not the
That's the end of days.
To me, that's not the end of days. That's big issues.
So you're saying that quality of life has increased consistently for the last 60 years. Eventually, it will stop increasing.
Quality of life, yeah, absolutely. That's
right, because right now it's been increasing, eh?
Yeah, right.
So at some point, what are they saying? The end of days is coming, or quality of life will stop increasing?
I think they're saying that the end of days is coming.
Yeah, you know
okay,
what?
and I'm not
so sure about
so that's not what I'm saying.
that.
I'm saying that I agree with their data that we do, if we don't change something dramatically, that we will start having big issues, that it might be too late. So in order to change this before those big issues have a big impact on our global society, and the way we can fix it, absolutely 100%, is by abandoning the notion that we have to burn anything to make steam that rises up and turns a turbine that creates AC power that moves across the lines to our houses. We do not need to continue that way of infrastructure. We can power everything locally.
I would say that I would disagree with what you're saying. I think what you're really saying, if I may jump in, I think what you're really saying is that I think it's possible that we might be able to do this.
No, it's not. It's not. Well, it is. It's very possible.
Like you can. So how many of these?
I'm saying.
Well, let's talk.
I'm saying I already did it.
Right, for one one place.
So
for how long?
For what do you mean? For
like how long has it been installed for? 6 panels.
Well, this little system right here is a 24-volt system. It's been running for probably 3 years.
Right. So like, there's people that live in really, really cold climates, or really, really hot climates, and they Arizona is not a place to live for humans.
It is if you have electricity.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you have electricity.
So
but other than that,
I'm suggesting that I can move to the Sahara Desert and live a comfortable life.
Canada's not a place to live.
Yeah, it is if you don't have power.
If you don't have gas and electricity, right?
Right.
You don't have fossil fuels.
Okay, so what happens if we continue down the road that we're on right now and we run out of fossil fuels?
Your speculation is that what you're saying is that this might, and I'm going to tell you that you don't know for sure. You've installed 2 or 3 things. You don't have grid scale level deployment.
I don't want it. We don't need it.
No, but I'm talking about having, like, let's say 50,000 homes with solar. Like, it probably is, but I mean.
Yeah. That doesn't matter. So, see, you're getting to the point where I want you to get, which is, well, I guess sooner or later, I'm going to have to admit that we do have only a limited amount of fossil fuels. And
we have tons of fossil fuels.
Okay, we have tons right now.
Yeah,
what happens
we're never going to run out.
If we don't have, let's say the whole thing
into a different species before we run out.
Hey, which brings me to freezing my brain so that I can get reanimated in the future. Okay,
so Greg, bring it back to life. We've gone wild. We've gone wild.
Much like a lot of our listeners, I've listened here for about 39 minutes, it looks like.
So
you guys go wild.
Yeah.
And that's great.
That's fine.
good. Now let's get practical with it. So
practicality is that I've done this in more places than you guys happen to know. The first place that I deployed it was in Puerto Rico after Hurricane, I know
the
Maria.
one
I think it was Maria.
So
I guess I got to. This system
Yeah.
is what exactly? What does it do? Break it. I know it converts it down. But
Yeah, it's just
what is?
it's stupid, you guys. I mean, it's
Why has
dumb.
nobody else done it?
I don't know. When I figured this out, here's the crux of the matter.
Okay.
I was the lucky one, I guess, that has been. I've had a passion for nothing but electronics for my entire life, and I've always been diving into them. Way before I knew what they were or anything, it's just fascinating to me. And so this warehouse that is back here is full of dismantled devices just to see, can we bypass the power supply and put DC straight to that thing and it works? Yep. How many times? How many times did we try that and it worked? 100% every time. So once we get there, and the only reason that I tried that is because I own an automation company that does low voltage, and we've been serving the highest end Coloradans or even Canadians, some hockey players and things that want us to do their automation systems. And they're all low voltage. And so we've been putting those systems together for a very long time. And we all understand, all of us that have been in that industry for a long time, that have had our heads in the 12 volt DC world for so long, understand, yeah, everything runs on DC, but our lighting didn't. And so the huge catalyst for keeping AC power was lights. They weren't DC. And
Well, you could buy a 60 watt A19 DC. It existed. 12 volt DC. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe that. Oh, that's true. Well, for cars and things like that.
Yeah, they had DC.
However, there wasn't a massive unit. Yeah. And so in my efforts to cure the problems between AC and LED, flicker specifically because of the cycle of the AC, the hertz.
Have you been listening to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast or something?
No. I'm sorry. Yes, I heard. I hear it. But no, and so I'm just saying that flicker is due to the cycle of changing the the back and forth motion of the electrons. Yeah. And when every time it goes from one side to the other, it always hits zero in between. And so these things doing that 60 or 50 times per second, well, your eyes can see that very well. And so people don't like that. So with the LED, and especially with high-end clients and everything, I was working with electricians saying, we gotta fix this. And so through that, I'm just going to jump forward in time. Once I realized, hey, everything as the point where LED became massively produced and distributed throughout our society, that's what did it. It was the last domino to fall in the entire planet being able to accept DC for lights and every other device we have. So me realizing that, I just thought, I'm going to try to put a solar panel to just run an LED just to see if this could fix the flicker, because DC doesn't have a flicker. Mm-hmm. It's a straight line rather than a hertz or a cycle. So when I did that, the voltage fluctuations and things with clouds or whatever would cause the LED to dim in and out. But wow, this worked. Okay, sweet. So then I started building some little machines and things that would just basically take AC and turn it into DC through a lot of different things, using capacitors, things like that to smooth that out. But it still didn't completely fix everything. So I decided, let's pull this AC shit out altogether. pull it all out, and I'm going to make circuitry that takes the DC from panels or anything renewable. Honestly, I'm going to submit 150 new patents on so many devices. It's ridiculous for curing so many problems that we have, and they will all work perfectly. We are at the beginning of using renewables. This isn't even close to the end of anything. Not the end of days, not the end of power. In fact, it truly helps us get away from each other. I think that we're crammed into cities and everything, and there's this horrible air of doom that I don't think we explain it or
Well, you brought it up.
we don't. Well, I know. I don't
Not
think we
me, man.
we don't articulate it.
I
to each other.
challenge you on it. I don't think
Yeah.
it's the end of days. Greggy, what's up, man?
Are there any downfalls at all to your system?
No, I can't. Every time I try to make a new problem, because I didn't succeed through success. I succeed through failure, and I have tried to make this stuff fail over and over and over and over. And every time I try something new, it gets better. I mean, so it really is. It's the key. If we do this and we start right now, then we can. Okay, so here on some of these things, I looked. There's this really horrible irony that's going on of, utility companies saying we're going to be 100% renewable by the year 2050. Okay, but then we have 90 some scientists producing reports saying by the year 2030, if we haven't turned something around very quickly, we're going to start
Something might happen.
Yeah, right.
Something.
No, we're going to have enough particulate matter in our atmosphere, in our water, and in our food, and in our soil, and all of these things that we're all going to start having very bad health issues by that time. So if we're waiting,
our standard of living is going to stop improving in 2030.
it will significantly decline.
Okay,
Yeah.
folks. We got Eric. We love having you on, but I broke balls, but you know what? It
I
was
want
fun
you
as
to,
heck,
man.
man.
That's
fun
what-
as heck.
Yeah.
Throw the name of your website out there for the people listening.
Yeah, well, Ampere LLC, AMPERE LLC. We're not completely done with this yet, but when will we be? I don't know. So we actually have the world's first renewable generator right now. We put some things aside, our other systems, for all of the victims out on the East Coast and in the islands and everything. And that's going to be part of, I think that's already on our site, but that's what our Kickstarter is all about as well.
Sure.
on Monday, because we want to start giving this technology away to not only prove the concept, but to save people's lives. They can charge their power tool batteries. They can have real lights, an A19, E26 or 27 base, and or just a screw-in thing. They can have communications. They can charge cell phones. They can charge. So all these things, and they don't have to have any gas. They don't have to have anything but small amount of batteries because they're running straight DC, and it is the most efficient thing in the world. This DC power is so efficient that it can't keep up with the horrendous amount of pressure that AC pushes. And that's the real problem. Is we're saying AC is so great because it's so powerful. Actually, no. AC.
Do that voice for me again.
How about this? AC murders your devices. It's like drinking from a fire hose.
Sure.
That's what it is. I
Do
mean,
you have this in your house?
I'm starting to put more and more. I mean, I can't wait to get rid of the inverters on the side of my house.
Yep.
And but I've been bypassing things. Yeah. And in the United States, we don't even know that they make 24 and 12 volt refrigerators, and we don't know that they make 12 and 24 volt microwaves and everything else on the
We're
planet.
hitting the
So,
end of the show here, but you tell everybody in that voice. Thanks for listening to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast.
thank you for listening to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. I have been your host, Eric Myklebust, with Ampere Electronics.
Thanks for listening, folks.
That's awesome.
All right, man. Good
Yeah,
to have you on.
Yeah,
That
right
was
on,
fun
man.
as heck, man.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sign base station is all you need for the end of days for non-LED signs. That's right. When you want to finish it up, you know about Sign Hero, but now you got to go to KeystoneTech.com for the sign base station, Greg.
Yeah, and it's they show an example on their cut sheet how you can mount it, and obviously it's going to save energy, it's going to last longer, and it's going to illuminate the sign, which is the purpose of it. But what's the most difficult thing about signs is maintaining them. You don't want to open that thing if you don't have to.
Ooh, no way.
Keep that thing lit because you need people to see your business,
Mm-hmm.
but don't mess with it. Make it LED, and Keystone has a solution for every application now. Check them out.
Go to KeystoneTech.com. That's KeystoneTech.com. Greggy, and of course, the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors, where it all goes down, where the prophecies of the end of days originated. Come on, Greg. What's with the end of days, man? Is it the end of days or not?
Not yet, but I think people think it's coming. So I don't think that's the case. But it was an interesting discussion we had. And we'll find out in 10 years. I think you guys have a bet on it. So we have to go back to Denver. Or maybe it was 30 years from now that you
Something
have
like
that bet.
$1 million if New York's not underwater. He owes me.
That's right. In 2050, isn't it? Something like that?
Something like that. $1 million, Eric Myklebust.
All right. You heard it here.
You owe me
We'll
$1
be back
million
in
bucks.
31 years.
If New York's not underwater in 2050, you owe me $1 million. Or I think I put the preface where it's like they haven't built a dike around it to protect it. So that counts. He wins if there's a dike around New York to stop it from being flooded. He wins. You win, Eric. So, folks, listen. The end of days, I think we got to take it seriously here. We got to know what we're talking about. What are we talking about? And you know what? More importantly, everybody's got to stop pointing fingers at the lighting business, and we need clean energy. Enough's enough.
I see you pointing a finger right now.
There's 3 pointing right back at me. I'm going to go like this, sucker. But you know what? We need clean energy, Greg. That's what we need. So we can use as much of it as we want.
That was the key that we took away from that conversation, definitely. Clean it up.
Written on the rectory wall, there's a sign there for all. You are lost, Lord is there to find you.